Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Ella Aquarella. So yesterday I posted a Hobby Lobby haul video and first impressions video, and I got a few things on clearance on Hobby Lobby. I'm gonna link that video to the end of this video if you wanna see it. So today I thought I might take a look at some of these materials that I got yesterday in more detail and try to paint something with them to see how it turns out. So what I'm going to be reviewing today is going to be the Master's Touch watercolor set, which it comes in this tin with a mixing area, pretty good sized mixing area. It comes with 12 colors and they're in a cake form. They're kind of dry cakes. In my other video, I mentioned the prices. This was $1.49 on clearance, which is an amazing price. Regular price was $5.99. So I don't have really high expectations of this, but I would like to use it because I thought they were very pigmented, and I'm curious to see how that works. I also got these Royal and Langnickel watercolor pencils, and I just wanted to use them a little bit more as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint this goose that I sketched from a reference photo, and I'm going to paint it with this. And we'll see how it turns out, okay? I'm also going to use this this brush. I also got it yesterday for $3.49, I think it was. It's a Cotman synthetic brush. So I'll use this for the background to try it out. And because I'm using Royal Langnickel pencils, I thought I would use a Royal Langnickel Red Sable brush that I already own. It's a number 8. So I'll be using these two brushes. In terms of paper, I'm using this paper that I don't like very much, this Strathmore watercolor paper. This is 140 pound, and it's 12 sheets. It's 11 by 15, a little bit too big for what the size of the sketch is, but I had it handy, so I decided to use it since it's right here. So I'm just going to position this in the center so you can see, and I'm going to go ahead and start painting the background. So I sketched this goose with the Royal Langnickel watercolor pencil, this brown pencil. And the reason why I like to sketch before I actually paint in watercolor pencil is because the watercolor pencil dissolves with water. So as I paint my painting, you won't be able to see the lines. So that's very practical. I really like that. So I'm going to wet my background. And as you can see, some of the brown is already kind of dissolving. So hopefully it won't dissolve too quickly because I need to know where I'm going to paint. And I'm just going to make a really kind of the sky because this goose is flying, and I'm gonna try to use the mixing area for that came with the paints, just to see how it works, just so you see that it beads up pretty bad. So that's something that can be fixed if you like scrape it like something, or with use it would also kind of get a little better. I'm going to move the paints a little bit more up so you can see what I'm doing. There we go. So I'm going to kind of paint. This is kind of an ultramarine blue, and I don't know what this is. They don't have real names, these paints. This is sort of like a cerulean blue, I guess. And I might put a little bit of brown because, oops. All right, so I like this color for the background. So I mix the brown and the two blues, and I actually want to make a very, very light colored background. Just really light colored background. And this brush, I actually like it very much. It holds a lot of water. It keeps a really fine edge. Good for washes. I really like it. It's a really nice brush. and it feels great. The weight of the brush, it just feels really nice. So it's kind of like, sometimes when you buy really cheap brushes that have plastic handles or something, they don't have weight, you know, it just feels really flimsy and it's not as enjoyable to paint. This brush is a wooden handle. It's pretty good handle, so I like it very much. And now I'm gonna create like a kind of a dark tone with the brown and the ultramarine blue. See what I get. That's not terrible. I'm gonna do, while the background's still wet, I'm going to start painting this goose, just because I would like, if possible, for the paint to kind of not be a very hard line and kind of blend into the background. These paints are not great, so I don't like the way that kind of bled through there, honestly. But I saw that coming. I should have seen that coming. And I do want it to kind of, you know, move around a little bit, because that's the beauty of watercolor, being able to have colors bleed together and you know, have unexpected things happen. I just think that's what makes it fun. This bird is also in flight, so you would think, right, that the wings would have less definition because it's moving around its wings, so I don't mind it bleeding into the background a little bit. Okay, we'll see how that comes out when I'm actually done. And there's a little bit here, and just gonna, so I think this brush is getting too big for the rest of the goose body, so I'm gonna switch to a smaller brush. And I'm gonna use this yellow, kind of yellow ochre color. I'm just gonna mix it in there. So I'm getting kind of muddy colors at this point, I think, because this paint is not great. It's probably dye-based, so it's very muddy. I am mixing a brown, so shouldn't be surprised that it's that muddy, but it's not very vibrant looking. But again, shouldn't be surprised. So now I'm just gonna paint some of the, and this is very loose painting. I just wanna like test these out, and sorry if I'm going quiet for a second. While that's still wet, I'm going to try to pull this color here. I don't love how that is blending together. It's okay. Okay. So I'm gonna mix the same kind of ultramarine blue and brown to paint some of the legs. Or the, yeah, what do you call those? Feet. I don't know. They're not paws, I know that much. So they're goose feet. I'm not sure if those look great, but I think it gets the job done. And then the neck of the goose is black, so I think I'm going to just use straight black, which kind of looks weird with the brown, so maybe I'll mix it with brown just to get a little bit more like not as. And then the goose has this kind of white part in the neck, so I'm gonna leave the white part. And maybe this brush is too big for this, and it's also not the pointiest brush. Royal makes some decent stuff, but it's never like super premium. At least this brand is not. So this is a student grade brush. It's not the best brush ever. So I think this part of the head came out thicker because the brush is so much thicker. Okay, so that's the first kind of layer of paint. I'm gonna let this dry and come back and put some more details into it. Okay, so this is dry now, the first layer. I actually decided to get a smaller brush to work on some of the details because I realized that other brush, it was too big. This is a Mimic number 2 round. I think I got this at Jerry's Artorama online. It's pretty good. The Frugal Crafter, Lindsay Weirich, she uses these a lot. And I got them to try because she likes them a lot, and I actually like them very much. They're very good brushes for the price. So I'm just gonna put some details here, and I'm doing this kind of loosely. And I just noticed that the paint has these weird granules. So it doesn't granulate on the paper. There's no granulation really, very little, if anything. But on the palette, you can see this granulation. And by the way, the palette is not beating up anymore. So this palette is kind of great. I would put nicer paints in here. I think this would be a great palette for taking, for sketching and traveling. But the paints themselves, they're not great. But for the price, given that they're $1, they were $1.50. I mean, they're cheaper than Crayola, basically, because they were on sale. Then that's really good value. If you can get it for like this cheap, then that's great to practice, and like maybe to practice lettering or do some journaling. Those are supposed to be feathers. That's not very pretty. But I wouldn't get it to do actual paintings. I don't think I'm having a really hard time like getting this paint, and I think the layers underneath are kind of coming, like lifting as I'm painting this, so I'm not loving that. And look at that mix. It just looks terrible. It looks terrible. So yeah, and it's leaving little granules everywhere. It's not amazing. Ugh, that's nasty. Not great. Not great. I'm not sure if that's the brown or the black that's doing that, but it's not good. It is not good. So I'm doing the next layer here for the neck. Oh, I just messed that up. And maybe I'll do some of the other details with the watercolor pencils, because this is just very difficult to do with this paint. I'm just gonna put some darker areas here. Okay. Well, I'm gonna let this dry. I might put some little details here for the feathers, but I think I'm gonna let this dry and come back and do some like colored pencil on top and see what happens. Because yeah, I'm not loving that. All right, I'll be back. All right, so I'm back. I made some little changes here, just dab some paint to make this wing darker. So I tried to layer black and brown. It doesn't look great. The paints don't really layer. They're not super translucent, so it kind of looks a little dull. Don't love it. But I'm gonna try to use some of these pencils to make some additional changes, like just details to it. So this set comes with not only the watercolor pencils, which there are 10 of them. There's a brush and there's a sketch pencil, which I forgot to mention in my previous video. So a sketch pencil is basically graphite that's water soluble. So this is, I'll try it over here so you can see it. This is literally just like a graphite pencil, and then when you put water on it, it dissolves like watercolor. It's pretty cool. So since the set didn't come with a black or a gray, I'm gonna use the sketch pencil to do some of the shadows on this goose. I don't know how that's gonna look, to be honest. You can't really see anything, at least not in the black stuff. So maybe I'll have to use a fine liner or something there. So there is a shadow over here on the belly. So I might just add that here and try to dissolve the paint. There is some additional shadow here, which I tried to incorporate with the watercolor, but it didn't work out so great. And there are more shadows over here. Sorry if I don't want to shake the camera too much. So there. I'm just gonna try to blend out that charcoal pencil a little bit. And while that's happening, it's lifting off the paint underneath. So it's messing it up, even though it's dry. That doesn't look great. Yeah, it's lifting off the paint underneath. So it's not looking that wonderful. So maybe I just need darker things here. So for that purpose, I got this Stabilo Fineliners from my art haul at Hobby Lobby. So I just wonder if this fine liner is gonna do it for me. Oh, look at that. That's a lot better. That's a lot better. Yeah, at least there you can see like that I'm doing something with that. You can see through it. So you can see the little face of the goose. So I might actually line this a little bit. I don't know if just to leave it like watercolor. I'm usually I always default to putting ink on everything and lines to define it. It's just like I find that things look better that way. So I'm just gonna put some ink in this just to see if I can make it look a little better. Just loose lines, nothing crazy. Very loose, just to give the gesture, the wings. Okay. Some little speckles here for the feathers that I tried to do using the watercolor, but it didn't really work out that great. More feathers. And then for the eyes, I think I'm just gonna use a little bit of gel pen to do one dot in the eyes, and then we'll be done. I just used a little bit of gel pen to do one dot in the eyes, but it was too big of a dot. So now it looks like a huge dot. I'm gonna try to, this doesn't wanna, whoa. Maybe I'm trying to like paint this or draw this too fast, and it's just not working out the way I want it. Just kind of dabbing, so the gel pen there does a little bit of this for me. Okay, And that was a Uniball Signo White Gel Pen, which is my favorite. And that's it. So this is a painting. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's not great. The paints are quite chalky. They are pretty vibrant and pigmented, I have to say, for the price of $1.49. But they don't layer well. They muddy up a little bit, and they're not super transparent if you do very heavy washes. They're more transparent if you do lighter washes. So I hope you enjoyed this review, and I feel like I might keep it around maybe and use it for something, but I definitely am not going to use this on a day-to-day basis. I might, at the end of the day, just use the tin for other types of watercolors. But I hope you enjoyed it. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I'll link the video for the product haul where I got these from, so you can see that. And I'll see you next time. Okay? Ciao.